Welcome to Built Not Burnt Out, the podcast about health, mindset, resilience, and personal growth, and becoming the person that you were meant to be that you were created to be. I'm your host, Melissa Petersen, and today's guest has a health story that I think is going to make a lot of people stop and pay attention to. Um, Laine Penney is here, and he came into eating carnivore to deal with a long list of health challenges. Some of the challenges that he's going to talk about today was curing or putting into remission Crohn's disease, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, chronic fatigue, gout, arthritis, and probably even a few more things. These are not minor inconveniences in life. They are big health issues that affected how he felt and lived. And he changed the way that he was eating. And so then, after adopting a carnivore lifestyle, he began practicing remarkable changes in his health and experiencing healing. Today, he's going to tell us what happened with each of those conditions and even about something that he wasn't expecting when he went carnivore, which is that his hair started growing back. And I want Laine to tell his story in his own words because this his experience. It's where he started it and changed and what happened next and what his health looks like today. But his journey didn't stop with his own transformation. Together with his wife Valerie, he's helping to create something that is designed to bring the carnivore community together and to even introduce people to carnivore, which is called Carni-Con 2026. I recently interviewed his wife, Valerie, about her own carnivore journey and the story behind Carni-Con. And today we're going to hear Laine's story and then let him introduce us to what he and Valerie are building. So, Laine, welcome to Built Not Burnt Out. And I thought it would be cool if you wanted to just start with what was going on in your life before carnivore.
All right. Well, thanks for having me, and really appreciate all the carnivores out there doing all their thing and putting forth time. I know this is not a living we're making here on YouTube, so I really appreciate your time too. So, all right, my journey started May 16th, 2024. So almost 2 years, 3 months in that neighborhood, and I was I worked an outside job. I was a painting contractor. I didn't work too far from home. Like usually, most of my jobs ended up being within an hour of my house. But I would get so tired, just so tired. I'd wake up tired. I'd leave the house tired. I'd many times have to take a nap on the way to work. I'd have to take a nap at lunch. I took a nap on the way home sometimes, just so I didn't drive off the road. And so that was one of the things that I noticed right away. Is I'd wake up, I'd pop out of bed, always before my wife at that time, and it just really helped me with my energy. So I didn't have like a diagnosis for that. It wasn't like I have or had chronic fatigue syndrome, but I was chronically fatigued just all the time. Now I could push through it. We that's what we do. We just push through things. But that was one of the things that changed in my life. That was big. Another thing was Crohn's disease, and I was diagnosed with that at 17. And after about 6 months of testing, they finally did a colonoscopy and said, "Yeah, you have Crohn's." So I was on a bunch of medication, and it didn't really help much because it got worse over time. And so by the time I was 21, it it just went out of control. It expanded out right where the appendix is, and I was about 2 weeks before I went to the doctor. So I was just walking bent over, and I was in exam week at university, so I just didn't think about going to the doctor until after the exams. And so I finally went to the doctor, and he just told me to go straight to the hospital. I have somebody else bring whatever you need if you need something, but go straight to the hospital. So I went to the hospital. They admitted me, put me in an IV drip. They were pumping cortisone and yeah, who knows what else they had in that bag that was hanging beside me. So I was there for 10 days. They got it under control. I left. They had me on prednisone. They titrated me down. And then a few months later, same thing happened. So back into the hospital. 7 days I was there for that time. And same thing, cortisone drip, sent me home, put me on prednisone, titrated me off of prednisone, and I came back again. So finally, the doctor just said, "Look, we're going to have to schedule for surgery because we can't keep it under control with medicine." So I went into the hospital a couple days before. They wanted to build up my iron and things like that because I didn't want to have a blood transfusion, and so they built me up. And the morning of, my colon perforated, so I was having it operated on regardless, and that was my biggest, like, life-threatening issue. And once they took out, it was 10 feet. If you're at the appendix and you go, not 10 feet, 10 inches from the appendix up the colon, that came out, and then go back 14 inches the other way. So a total of 2 feet. And after that, I was good till 37. I had a couple colonoscopies during that period from 22 to 37. So 15 years, I was pretty good. And then it started to come back. So from 37 until 2 years ago, I've just been dealing with it again, just constant Crohn symptoms, you know. And I had heard from a friend about Carnivore, but before that, I actually heard Dr. Chafee on this short little news reel he was doing, and the interviewer asked him, "What do you eat today? What'd you have today?" And he said, "Well, I had some ribs and all kinds of different meats." He was listing his breakfast. It was, well, more than I could ever eat, and my mind just was like, "Oh, man, that makes absolutely no sense." I had the dumbest thing I ever heard. Plants are trying to kill me, he said. So I just turned it off. I was like, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But then a couple months later, a friend of mine started talking about this carnivore diet. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I heard it. I saw this guy on some TV newscast talking about it. And I just went, it was the dumbest thing I ever heard. But he's like, no, you got to look into it, because he said, I tried it for a little while. He didn't stick with it for too long. He put on a glucose monitor and everything. And he's like, I could see all my levels for my sugar levels and things like that. So I took about 3 more months. I did a lot of research, a lot of investigating. And sure enough, I mean, it was supposed to help with Crohn's. I also had really high blood pressure, like 235 over 185, which I was also hospitalized for. And the nurse, when I went into the hospital, just said, "You sit in that chair right there where I can keep my eye on you," because it was so high. I was in stroke level. And I was in the hospital. Of course, they put me on a bunch of meds. So that was a long time ago, maybe 20 years ago. And since then, I had been on blood pressure meds. I was on 3 different medications. 2 of them I took twice a day, so 5 medications to keep me in the 140-ish over 90-ish kind of area. And so what happened with my blood pressure was, my wife and I were in the backyard, and we were cleaning up some trees and doing some yard work. I just got so dizzy I couldn't stand up. So I texted my doctor, and he's like, "Well, come off of this one." So I came off of this one, and then the same thing happened. I came off another one, and finally, just about 3 months ago, I came off all my meds. I was also on triglyceride meds. I was on gout meds, because I used to get gout like every 2 months. I'd get gout, and sometimes it'd be in my toe or my ankle, my knee, my elbow. So I was getting it all over the place. And yeah, so I mean, those are just a few of the things that happened. And then one day I was working in my bathroom cutting some tile, and if you know anything about a water saw, it makes really fine mist. And it was just all over me. But I went into the bathroom to wipe down, and I saw these little misty parts on little tiny hairs on my head. I was like, no, my hair is growing back. This is just the craziest thing. And
Wow.
so, I mean, those are just a few of the things. But when I was in the backyard getting dizzy, and when I text my doctor, um, he had just recently learned I had gone carnivore, right? So how that story goes is I went to the doctor just for a routine checkup, and the nurse brings you in, she weighs you, she takes your blood pressure, she does all the intake stuff. And I said, did you notice I lost some weight? So she went back and she said, yeah, you lost 20 pounds. I was like, no, I lost 21 pounds, right? And
Get that
so,
right.
and yeah, that's, God, don't take that extra pound away. And so I asked her, so I told her I was doing the carnivore diet, and she's like, my dad just started the carnivore diet like 7.5 months before I did. And I said, really? Like, how's it doing for him? Well, he had Parkinson's, where he shuffled from the couch to the kitchen. He couldn't walk. He had 6 shots of insulin a day, which is a lot, and all the things, high blood pressure and all the things he had, and some other things she didn't even tell me about. And I said, well, how's he doing on it? How's it going for him? And she said, well, he loves it. Like, he loves it. He came off his insulin within 7.5 months and came off. She said he's on zero meds now.
Wow.
So when the doctor came into the room, I said the same thing to him. Did you notice my weight? And of course he goes back. He's like, yeah, what are you doing? I said, all right, I'm going to tell you. I'm doing the carnivore diet. Let the lecture begin. I said, go ahead. Go ahead and lecture me. He's like, no, you won't get a lecture from me on the carnivore diet. I have several patients who are doing it and doing quite well. I said, really? He's like, yeah, I have this one particular patient who drove to Florida and cut his toe, got a big gash on his toe. And he came in, and I said, is that the nurse's dad? He's like, yeah, that's him. So now he's driving himself all over the place, going water skiing with his friends in Florida. And I live in Kentucky, so that's like an 18-hour drive. So, I mean, it did wonders for him, of course, and it's done
Wow.
wonders for me. I haven't had a gout attack in 2 years. My blood pressure is normalized. I came off of all of my blood pressure medicines. I had really high triglycerides, like 745. And my last check, they were down to about 145. So everything
Wow.
is better. Talking about being tired all the time. I mean, most people who watch this are probably going to know. Yeah, that's one of the benefits. Like, you just have more energy than you know what to do with. And my wife,
Yes.
yeah, my wife Valerie's like, yeah, I have like a whole new man. It changed my personality. It's pretty easy going to begin with, but I'm even more stable and mellow, as she says. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of like my little bit of my story, and I've been on it now almost to the day, 2 years and 3 months.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's carnivore calm. That's what we call that, I think.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
carnivore calm.
yeah,
That is amazing. And did you I don't I'm trying to remember what Valerie had said. Did you ever try, or maybe she was the one that was a vegan, did you try different kinds of diets before you tried the carnivore?
yeah. Well, I really just ate the standard American diet for the most part. I'm from Canada, so we'll call it the standard Canadian diet.
Gotcha.
And Uh, but she always tried to do her best in giving me the vegetables and send me to work with. We usually cooked a big pot of stew or soup or something like that. But I mean, that wasn't always enough. But we were trying our best with what we knew, and we went vegan, raw vegan, actually, for 3 weeks, and I didn't notice any changes. I mean, pretty messed up inside, so I didn't really notice any changes. So we just couldn't handle it. All the food prep and all the time it took, and I mean the expense was really big. And I eat cheaper now than I did way back then. But yeah, so when it comes to my overall health, remember I said before I didn't work too far. It was maybe an hour. Some of my jobs that I go to now are 2 hours away. And I don't have to take a nap there or at lunch or on the way home. Just never. I'm just not tired anymore. But at nighttime, I put on some blue blocking glasses, and within an hour, I'm out. I just,
Yeah. Do you sleep better, carnivore?
yeah, I sleep way better. I used to have insomnia. Almost every night I'd get up at 2 o'clock or, in that neighborhood, and I'd just be up for an hour or two. I just couldn't go back to sleep.
Yeah. I've heard that from a lot of people that they just sleep better, they feel better, just better like you're talking. And it's sad that more people don't know this. And that kind of leads me into the next question. So, you have basically cured a lot of your ailments. Your hair is even growing back. But you aren't stopping here. You and Valerie decided that you wanted to give back to this amazing carnivore experience. So do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. We're putting on a virtual event so everybody can attend from comfort of their own home. And it's called Carni-Con.live. And it's Carni-Con.live. And that came about because we are virtual event specialists. We do events online. And we were working on a project already. It was for something completely different. And one day I was sitting in a doctor's office because I got a tick bite and it was really nasty looking. So yeah, doctor couldn't see me, so I texted him because I've done some work at his house and stuff like that. So we're friends, and um, I had been thinking about this idea for a couple of weeks, but I was afraid to tell her because we we spent like almost a year working on this other project, and she thought about it for a second and she said, "Yeah, we have to do this. Like we have to because we had already gotten our tickets for meat stock, so we knew we were gonna, go to a live event. But not everybody can go to a live event. They can't take time off work, the travel, um, eating out all the time, tickets to the event. You add all that up, and it's just not everybody can make it to Tennessee to meet stock or some of the other meetups. And so this is just a way, it's just going to give everybody an opportunity to be able to see some of the same doctors, uh, content creators online, researchers. We just booked Bart K. Nobody got Bart
Awesome.
K, but we just got Bart K this morning actually, and that was the last spot we had to fill. I was kind of holding out a little bit to see if any of the Baker Berry or Chafies would be able to do it, but they're they're busy. So we got Bart K.
Awesome. Bart K is great.
Yeah. So yeah. So how the event looks is there's going to be experiences, the doctors, the knowledge, but we're also going to have people come on Sunday to talk about the the way to implement it into your life. Right. So on Sunday or on Friday, the first day, it'll be more about the inspirational stuff, a lot of stories. We'll send some people off into breakout rooms so that they can meet each other. So it's very interactive. So it's not, if you go to the website, carnicon.live, you'll see it says not another summit, not another webinar, because we're going to be able to bring people up on stage just like you and I are right now and ask questions. We're going to be able to send people off into breakout rooms, into small groups where they can meet new ones, where they can talk about whatever the exercise is that we might be having them go off into. And so that's going to be very big on community building. And then on Sunday, when we take all the information, so Saturday will be the information day. So we have the doctors and the coaches and whatnot on Saturday. And you're going to be speaking too. So
Yes.
this is all a big plus for everybody. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the general setup of it, what it involves. Just so everybody knows, they're not just going to be sitting there. And again, because it's virtual, if they have to pop out for a bit, they can come right back in. And we're also actually going to give them an opportunity in a room on the dashboard. It's called the lounge. And so 2 hours before and at least 2 hours after, we're going to have people be able to just go into the lounge and hang out. Maybe some of the influencers online, some of those content creators or coaches might actually show up in there too. So they'll get to meet them one on one, as opposed to just a YouTube channel where you can go on and ask questions, but there's no back and forth. Like it's not personal.
Right.
So this is going to be really big on community building.
That's amazing. I think this is going to be so awesome, and I'm very excited for it. And this is September 18th through 20th, correct?
Yes, that's right. September 18th to 20th, and we're going to do it yearly. So everybody will, if they can't make it this time for whatever reason, I hope they're
Right.
clamoring to come next year.
Well, and then also, you guys are going to be able to send recordings if people register and don't make it, right? There's going to be recordings.
Yeah, yeah. So the all access pass has the recording option, and that'll be up for a whole year.
Awesome. So even if you can't make it that day, you still could register and still hear all of this stuff and still benefit from it.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, we're going to have awards, and I mean, it's just going to be a fun time, right? Where everybody's going to be able to see it live, and to be able to interact with others.
And I think one of the things that I remember Valerie talking about is that you guys wanted to sort of even introduce people into like what is carnivore like.
Yeah. So on Sunday, the first talk is going to be something that we want people to invite others to, right? Maybe they're carnivore curious. Maybe they're a mate who's just not on board with it. This will give them an opportunity to see somebody talk about, and that's Dr. Ferran from Nova Scotia. She'll be doing that keynote talk on Sunday morning at 11.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, that's amazing. And I really thank you, Laine, for being here today and for you and Valerie for putting together Carni-Con for the benefit of everybody. And your story is just amazing. And I really am glad that you the things I really love is that, your experience can make us curious and that you encourage us, people like you encourage us to ask better questions, to learn more about our health and to recognize that we don't necessarily know what's possible until we're willing to explore something different. And now you guys are taking this and you're giving us the entire community Carni-Con 2026, which is September 18th through 20th. So get your tickets now. It's 100% virtual, so you can come from anywhere. And if you don't attend the sessions live, you can register for a pass that allows you to have access to recordings. And I'm
Yep.
excited to be one of the presenters there. And I'm going to
Yeah.
present something called Food Addiction is Not Your Fault, which is very curious.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's going to be about how we struggle with food. And it's not just that we lack willpower. So you're going to learn about that and so much more at Carni-Con. And
Exactly.
I'm going to
And
be, oh,
you
go
have a
ahead.
you have a code too.
Yes, yes, and there's a code, and I'm going to be putting all of this in the show notes, and including how you can reach out to Carni-Con and to Laine and Valerie, thank you again for being here on Built Not Burnt Out, and not just sharing for what you've been through, but what you're building. And to everyone listening, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep becoming the person that you were created to be. And I'll see you next time on Built Not Burnt Out.